The governor of Puerto Rico is under fire. I'm Jamal Simmons, and this is why you should care. The governor of Puerto Rico is on the hot seat. People are on the streets after someone leaked a series of explosive text messages between him and his political allies. Puerto Ricans from San Juan to Washington, D.C. and New York City are calling for the governor to step down in street protests. We went to a trusted source to find out more. Rafael Bernal from the Hill, thanks for being here. Puerto Rico seems to be in the middle of a big political conflagration right now in the capital having to do with the governor. Give us a little primer on what's happening.
So it's a tough situation for the governor. There's a lot of protests asking for his resignation, basically. Two things happened. First, two public officials were caught giving contracts to friends, essentially. And it's happened before in Puerto Rico, so it's something that really angers people. And the other thing that's happened is his private texts with his closest lieutenants got filtered out to the media. And these texts have a lot of homophobic slurs, misogynistic words against political opponents, some said directly by the governor on these text messages. And now his opponents say that's a show of how he's sort of the poster boy for privilege on the island.
But aren't there politicians from New York City that are wrapped up in this?
Very wrapped up in this. The former Speaker of the New York City Assembly, Melissa Mark-Viverito, who's originally from Puerto Rico, she's a top ally of the San Juan mayor, and she got called a very misogynistic name directly by Rossello on these text messages.
Now, why are New York City politicians in the middle of this? I know there's a huge Puerto Rican population in New York City.
In the case of this, of Melissa Mark-Viverito, she's from Puerto Rico. She grew up there. She then moved to New York, like many Puerto Ricans do. She has continued to play an active role in progressive politics on the island.
So we're seeing protests break out in San Juan. How many days has this been going on?
It's been going on all week, really. It's just a lot of frustration that was pent up among Puerto Ricans. You see a lot of people protesting the fiscal situation of the island. It's really, like Rossello is in a really bad place at a really bad time. He had to be extra careful, and he was the opposite of extra careful.
So you've got corruption problems happening with the governor. At the same time, the island of Puerto Rico is still trying to get money out of the Trump administration to recover from the storms.
Right, and now the president is accusing Puerto Rico of mismanaging all $91 billion that were assigned to Puerto Rico. That doesn't mean that they've made it to the island. But the president in a tweet today said that they're mismanaging all of that money. This is about a $15 million scandal, the corruption angle to it. It might become bigger with time, but as far as we know right now, and President Trump is making it into a $91 billion scandal.
And we're seeing some protest action here in the United States as well, right?
And yeah, they're organizing. The opposition to the governor is strong, and the opposition to the governor is very well organized and ties very well into the progressive movement stateside. So this is not going to go away easily.
So the mayor of San Juan and the governor also have conflict around some post-storm recovery money also, right?
Well, they've been butting heads forever. They represent two different visions, sort of two different liberal visions for the island. And accusations right now are just rife. There's no evidence yet, and possibly won't be, that the governor engaged in any corrupt practices himself. But he's, at the very least, he's too buddy-buddy with people who did.
Now, there are a lot of protesters who are demanding the governor step down. Is there any possibility that that could happen?
Oh, actually, most observers are surprised that he hasn't yet resigned. His Secretary of State resigned, the first one to go from that text group, and this is the second time the texts are filtered out, by the way. It's really almost frustrating to read these texts because we all have text groups with friends that sometimes get a little bit rowdy. But some of the things that are said in these texts are the kinds of things that there's always somebody in any text group that says, whoa, that's a bit too much.
Right.
And at least during that month that got leaked, nobody did that in this group.
Nobody said that. So the governor, though, he could step down.
Everybody expected him to step down. He's holding on. He sent a message today that he believes he can still run the island. He can still operate as governor. People doubt that. What I'm hearing is really his party, the PNP party down there, is looking for somebody else to run the 2020 election, because even if he doesn't step down, they're looking at him sort of like a lame duck.
All right, that does it for today's show. What you think? You can let us know in the comment section or join the conversation on social media using the hashtag Whisk. You can also catch more of this show and other great content from Hill TV by subscribing to the Hill's YouTube channel. Be sure to click the bell so you get notified when we post new videos. And you can find me on Twitter at Jamal Simmons or at Real Jamal Simmons on Facebook and Instagram. That's why you should care. Catch you next time.